Good morning. I am Steve Weber, and this is the American Gumption Morning Show. And it's brought to you by Spirituality Gone Wild, my broadcast partner, who I'm proud to be part of the Spirituality Gone Wild team. So we broadcast on the Spirituality Gone Wild YouTube and Facebook pages, and also on the American Gumption Facebook page and the American Gumption YouTube channel. So please do follow us on one or more of those platforms. Alrighty, so good morning. It's Tuesday, September 29th, and we have a great show today planned. We have our first third-time guest coming back to the show, Nicci Roscoe. So she will be joining us at the bottom of the hour from London. And she was going to be talking about Reiki Healing 101, everything you wanted to know about Reiki, or at least the basics of what it is. So that's what we'll talk about today. And again, that comes up at the bottom of the hour. Of course, I'll be doing a monologue. I have a movie life lesson, and it's number 78, Praying for Shrimp. Upcoming on the next couple of days, we have Diana Dameron, who is the author. So tomorrow, Diana Dameron is the author of Unleash Civility, Using Civility to Survive and Thrive in the Workplace. And I've known Diana for about 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. And I wanted to bring her in because of the uncivility that's happening in our political culture right now. So we'll talk maybe a little bit about that too. We'll get into it. Probably not getting into politics, but we'll talk about the fact that people aren't being necessarily very nice to each other. And on Thursday, I have Heather Holmes coming up, and this is going to be a great conversation. She is the founder of P2 Probiotic Power, and basically it's cleaning products for your body and for your environment, for your countertops. And she's changing the perception about what it means to clean something. So we'll get into that. I've been studying up the last week on what it is she's doing, and it's a fascinating topic. So if you know about probiotics for your internal digestive tract, then this is going to be probiotics for your external environment. And it's going to be a great conversation. All right, so that's what's coming up in the week. We're going to be joined by Brandon Schaefer in just a minute or two, and he's going to give us some simple motivation. So that's also happening today because it's Tuesday, and Brandon's a simple guy, and he's going to bring his simple, basic message. It's not simple. It's actually profound, but it comes in a simple form and a simple package. All righty. So that's what's happening coming up today and throughout the rest of this week. Let's see. I've got a movie life lesson. I think I'll jump right into that. And it's number 69. Let's see here. It's number 69. It's called Praying for Shrimp. And let's just see what Forrest and what Steve had to say 1 year ago when he created this. Why don't you just pray for shrimp? Since I was a little boy, I've been praying and asking God for help. Hi, I'm Steve Weber, and God gave me the gift of gumption. He gave me the gift of the movie Forrest Gump, and he gave me the gift of this unique platform to share my ideas about the world's greatest movie. I'm doing this to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the movie Forrest Gump. Prayer is when we ask help from a higher power, from the universe, or from our God. When Forrest pleaded with Lieutenant Dan and asked, "Where are we going to find shrimp?" Lieutenant Dan suggested Forrest pray for shrimp.
Still no shrimp, Lieutenant Dan.
Okay, so I was wrong.
Well, how are we going to find them?
Well, maybe you should just pray for shrimp.
We often think of prayer as part of a religious activity, which it is.
So I went to church every Sunday. Sometimes Lieutenant Dan came too, though I think he left the praying up to me.
I view prayer as a human activity, a way for individuals to connect with the universe in a way beyond the five senses. I find prayer comforting and restorative. When Forrest joined the church and joined the choir, I'm guessing he found it both comforting and restorative. Forrest was praying. He engaged in prayer. We get the sense that he had a strong belief in God. It takes gumption to ask for help. It takes gumption to be vulnerable in front of our God. Let's all be more Gump-like. Let's ask the universe or God for help, and let's all live our lives with gumption. All righty, so there was Forrest Gump praying for shrimp. The movie has quite a few different. Oops, I need to shut off this. There we go. Sorry about that. Once again, running StreamYard is like a box of chocolates. You have to be able to. It's actually like doing three things at once: walking, skipping, and going backwards every third step, and then chewing gum at the same time. So I don't always accomplish the chewing gum part. I forget to chew. Anyway, so the movie, life lessons from the movie, Forrest Gump. A lot of religious overtones throughout the whole movie. When Jenny's a little girl, she prays in the cornfield with Forrest, "Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far away." I grew up in the Catholic Church. Praying was part of what we did on a regular basis. And the movie had a lot of different, themes to God and God references throughout. So we knew that Forrest was a man who believed in a higher power. He was connected to his God, to the universe. Didn't necessarily talk about any specific religion, although we could assume it was a Southern Baptist that was the church that he was praying in. And then of course on Mama's deathbed, she talks about, and there's references to God. And then as far as stands at the graves of Jenny, and at the end when it's a very tearful reunion with her or goodbye to her, the birds fly up above and the connectedness. And so all these realities or spiritual connections are all part of the movie. So anyway, that's kind of, I thought that was a good primer for today, because what we're going to be talking about with our guest, Nicci Roscoe, coming up at the bottom of the hour is just the idea that there's energy out there, there's healing. And my monologue is going to touch on spirituality and my own evolving beliefs. So you're not supposed to get into politics and religion, but I'm going to touch into the spirituality part today. So living a dangerous life I am. All righty. So I do see that our simple motivation man, Mr. Brandon Schaefer, has arrived in the green room. It looks like the elves, the American Gumption elves, have made him comfortable, and looks like he's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and tune up the Brandon Schaefer simple motivation opening song. Brandon Schaefer, you're in the house. Welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Steve. I was just eating some fresh cold cuts back there, some freshly sliced turkey. I had some nice cheese. I had some nice Evian water. I'm fired up and ready to go. Are you ready?
I am, and I'm glad that you got those treats. We read your writer, and we realized that we had the Evian water was not on there originally, so we've upgraded our.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I flipped out a little
you.
bit about that. I do apologize, but let's without further ado, let's get kicked
Let's
off
go.
here. So, what I'm talking about is slowing down to speed up, and I know it sounds contradictory, but everyone wants to go 100 miles per hour, right? I want to talk 100 miles per hour, but every once in a while, I need to just slow down, understand what it is that I'm saying, what it is that I want to achieve, put together a simple strategy, a short-term strategy, meaning what am I going to do today? A long-term strategy, meaning what is my ultimate goal, 2 weeks from now, a month from now. And I need to stay away from the shiny object. I need to stay away from the next great thing that my friend is doing, that my parents are doing, that my wife is doing. And I need to stick to the basics. I need to stick to the core foundations of what I am looking to achieve, right? Because someone has probably been there before me. Someone has probably already set out and achieved what I'm looking to do. Yes, I'm going to pave a new road. Yes, I'm going to need to take down some trees and walk through the forest. That's never been done before. But what I really want to contemplate today and what I really want to express today is slow down. Enjoy the moment. Stay in the present moment during the journey. Last week I was on here hooting and hollering, and next week I'll probably be back hooting and hollering. But for today, it is about slow down to speed up, leave the shiny object, and stick to the core basic foundations that work day in and day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and hang around people that are doing the right things for the right reasons, the right times. So that's all I have for you today, Steve. I hope you enjoy, and I'm going to go hit some more water back there.
All right, Brandon, thanks a lot. We appreciate your stopping in and joining us once a week. We're getting our rhythm going, and I love the fact that today was take a deep breath, just slow down, and we're gonna pick it up again next week. Thank you, my friend.
100%. Thank you, Steve. I'll talk to you.
Okay. I am not going to change Brandon's theme into some kind of a slow melody, and because I think he's going to come back fired up again next week and ready to hit it hard. And I really liked what he talked about this morning, because I've had to do that in just the last couple of weeks, really the last month. I came out and I started this show in the beginning of August, and I just went like gangbusters, boom, 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 was hitting it hard. And then all of a sudden I realized that I had enough shows under my belt that I needed to kind of make a new plan, and I needed to refocus myself on what was important as far as, where am I going to go and how am I going to do this and how am I going to manage it so that I can keep my energy at a high level on a day in and day out basis. And initially I just ran with all that adrenaline, and the only way I was able to catch my breath was to stop, refocus it, bring it back to, a level playing field and just start all over again. So anyway, I thought that was a great message. I see Brandon still hanging around back there. Brandon, you want to jump back in here and say anything more? He's done. He's gone. All right. He's got a plate full of food, man. The dude's back there munching away. I can't believe it. So anyway, it was great. I really appreciate that he comes and joins us on a regular, weekly basis. There's going to be weeks that he can't join us. He's a busy guy. His business is Simple Business Help. You can see it right down there, scrolling along. And if you use technology, which I'm assuming everybody does, and you have some kind of a sales or some kind of a simple business that you need to use technology better, that's what Brandon and his team of people do, is they help people come in and straighten that out, get connected, make sure everybody's emails and connections and the reports and all the technology that needs to talk together is working. So that if you're a small to medium sized business and you have technology that's just not connected, reach out to Brandon. He can help you. He can make that work. All righty. So that's our Simple Business Help edition for this week. Let's jump into the monologue portion of our show. Yeah, so I said that I was going to talk a little bit about spirituality versus religion. So I was I grew up in a family where my parents both of the Catholic faith, and I went to Catholic schools. I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel grade school in Southampton, PA, Pennsylvania, and went there for 8 years. Great experience. reconnected with my grade school friends several years ago, and it was a great time of my life. For 8 years we went to the same school. Then the public school, you start out with a elementary, and then you go to middle school, and then you go to junior high, and then the high school, and here we went to grades 1 through 8. So it was a little bit of a different time, and but that was what it was. And the people that I went to school with, I got to know them, and when we reunited several years ago, we had this connection because we were all innocent, we were all loving life, and you didn't have a lot of preconceived notions about what was who was fun, who was you were just a kid, and we were having fun. So I have very good memories of my Catholic grade school years, other than the fact that I ended up getting whacked on the buttocks by the nuns for misbehaving. I have good memories. So then high school, again, Catholic high school. Now it became I started getting a little weird there. There was a boys' school and a girls' school. So, we were separated. And so that was kind of not necessarily the way life worked, where, boys over here, girls over there. And so, but anyway, but I'm sharing this because this was the foundation of what I was raised with. And of course we went to church on Sundays and that whole thing. So as I ended up going out to California in when I was 22 years old, and then lived there for 27 years, and then off to Montana. What happened was I would return to Catholicism at different times of my life. When I first went to California, I felt kind of all alone and isolated, and so I ended up. I remember going to church. Found a Catholic church and attended there. And what would happen is I'd attend for a while, and then for some reason I just didn't quite feel that connection, and so it would kind of fade away, and I'd stop attending. And then during that 27 years though, there was another time, like maybe 10 years later, when I ended up again returning to the church and attending for some kind of a regular basis. But then again, the same kind of thing where it just sort of faded away. When I went to Montana at age 51, same thing. There was a church there, and I thought, I just felt like I needed to have something in my life that connected me, grounded me to the higher power. And I again went and participated in the Catholic Church, and like it was kind of one of those things that you didn't necessarily go like week after week, but you went on a somewhat regular basis. But then at some point something happened, and you just sort of felt like this isn't working and isn't feeling right for me. So this was my experience with the church. And again, I'm a single guy all this time, and not sharing a faith with someone else, not having a family, certainly with children, and a partner, you're going to, try to keep a cohesion of a family. But I was just on my own. So that was my experience. And I remember at one point I started clicking the little box that said faith, or, it was like, spiritual, more spiritual than religious. And I started clicking that box. Actually, I remember now it was on dating sites, where they asked you for your faith. And so they had like different Catholicism or, Jewish, any kind of a religion, the whole religions, but then it was like spiritual, not religious. And so I started checking that box. In 2009, I ended up connecting with a personal development organization, and that was really the beginning of what I'll call the spiritual journey. And so for a whole year, I ended up doing several different programs, with them, and it really was kind of a time of my life where I started to question, what was it that I believed, and you realize that you are trained or you're taught things as a child, and those are your foundational beliefs. And so during that 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13 timeframe, I started, going back and looking and questioning, well, what is it that I believe? Why do I believe certain things? Why do I follow certain beliefs? And one of the things that became obvious is that all of the major religions all kind of shared common elements. They all believe. I'm going to throw up one slide here. Hold on. Let me just change one thing here. Brand and the quantum. That's not what I wanted to do. Here it is. All right. So the quantum gumption. So quantum gumption for me is really this whole idea of what is, how are we all connected, and what is the connection between all of us. And that's really what the religions, in my opinion, talk about. They talk about a God, and they talk about, following certain types of, living a certain type of spiritual life, the commandments, the right and wrong, that whole set of beliefs that we are taught. And if you look again at the major religions, there's certainly a common thread that runs through all of them. They all believe in some kind of a God, a higher power. They all believe in some kind of an eternal life. And so there's these, fairly basic things that kind of cross over all of them. What they call God differs. In Christianity, it's Jesus. But all of them have their belief system and their God. Okay, great. So that's cool. So now, as I start to think about and educate myself, and I end up thinking about, well, how is it that we're all connected? The whole idea of science coming into it, and the quantum, the energy that exists. So we could think of God as the energy that we are connected to, the higher power, and yet in a scientific realm, and certainly in quantum physics and in quantum mechanics and in quantum biology, what happens is the science is catching up with some of the theories that have been scientifically floating around since the 1920s, that there's this, crazy realm, this spooky, as Einstein said, spookiness that goes on once you pass the speed of sound. So Einstein famously said E equals mc squared, c being the speed of light. So once things happen faster than the speed of light, suddenly the quantum takes over, and things kind of jump around and float around instead of being, like predictable as in Newtonian physics. So there's this whole big realm of science that's coming along and, directing, and they're actually being able to measure and study and understand these things. Now, it's not a perfect thing, and there's a lot of faith, or there's a lot of, theories and belief that occur with this. But in 2014, I did this deep dive where I really tried to lay out my core beliefs, my values, where I wanted to go, what's the mission, vision, purpose, goals, that whole, and it took it took 8 or 9 months of like really kind of, writing this, reflecting on it, revamping it, editing it, getting it. And I still look at that today, 6 years later, and it's like, oh my gosh, this holds up pretty good. So it's like, and the two beliefs that jumped out at me at that time were, we are all connected and there are no coincidences. So that was really what I would call the maturation point for me in terms of spirituality, where I went, oh, we are all connected to some kind of a universe. Within the universe, we are all connected to each other energetically, and this is what happens as far as and this is what the religions are all about. Is like they talk the same thing, but they call it God. And now the science is starting to show that there's this actual connection, like an energetic connection that happens. And as we think about things, law of attraction, as we think about things, they come into our lives. So what we focus on is what we end up getting. And the more we focus on, certain things, then they happen. And the more we focus on other certain things, then they happen. And if they're good and pleasurable things that we want to happen in our life, and we focus and put our energy there, then those things manifest and come into our life. And if we think about, if we live in, fear and lack, then that's what we end up getting. So I'm like suddenly I'm awakened to this whole thing, and there's a whole bunch of different, we'll call them spiritual leaders, or scientists who are doing work in that. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's actually the guy who I admire most as far as teaching this, quantum connection and the work that he's doing. And I'll just throw out his name for right now, and just say that I need to talk more about this and explain it. But Dr. Joe Dispenza, Abraham Hicks in the Law of Attraction, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle. So I've read these different people, and they all kind of say the same thing, that what we focus on, and what we put our energy to is what happens. And really, if you think about the religions, they're saying the same thing, but they're saying, okay, we have to direct our energy to God, to their God. And then of course they end up making up a lot of rules that you have to do this, you have to, and in Catholicism, you had to attend church weekly. You had to, not eat meat on Fridays. At least when I was a kid, that was the rule. And then they changed that. And so anyway, it just as it evolved, I thought there's a lot of, the religions have a lot of man-made rules, right? They're just men. The popes are men. And then excluding women from the hierarchy of making the rules. And so anyway, I just kind of naturally drifted over towards like, well, what about this spirituality idea? What about the connectedness of the entire universe and the world? And, do we need to follow a certain religion? And is there one religion that's right? And is there another one that's, that's not right? And of course, gosh, you look at like religions have been going to war for years and years and years saying I'm right and you're wrong. And so, rightness only makes wrongness. And so if you think about it, for me, I kind of jumped into the more spiritual than religious, because that just says, hey, there are, we all just sort of figure this out for ourselves. There are no specific, there's not one right way to do this. But there's that connection with the overall universe. Now, how do you do that? You do it through meditation, you do it through, through a prayer, through a thought. Meditation is a form of prayer. And then as we think about healing, in the Catholic Church, they talked about, you pray and you'll have a miracle. So a miracle, well, as our guest, Nicci, is going to talk about with Reiki healing, well, that's just another form of miracles. And that's using energy healing to solve the challenge of some kind of an illness. So imagine now the body has some kind of an energy that has accumulated through years and years of, thought about, something happening. A person has it and they need to have this miracle to clean them up. Well, in Catholicism, people pray all the time. And then, and Reiki healing was an energy force where a Reiki healer uses their hands and energy to solve it. Now, the Catholic Church, and I'm not an expert by any means, I'm just sort of doing some basic study and trying to understand this and hopefully attempting to, explain this in a way that makes some kind of sense. But the Catholic Church says, hey, Reiki healing is not cool. That's something that you can't do. And I didn't even know this until I told my father that Nicci is coming on the show. And he says, oh, I heard about that Reiki. That's bad stuff. You're not allowed to do it. And I go, really? What's bad about it? What's going on, Dad? And he says, oh, I don't know for sure. But I just remember they said, no good. And so anyway, so I went and I found a document, and basically the Catholic Church said, as far as miracles go, it has to be, where it's proven that you're believing through Jesus that a miracle happens. And so through prayer and through divine intervention, there could be a healing, or through medical treatment. and medical treatment is all good. And then, of course, the whole, they say, but Reiki healing is this energy healing, and there's no scientific proof that it could happen. And so it's like a disconnect there. And they're like, no, it can't be that, because it's not through, Catholicism that it's being solved. It's through this energy work. Now, I'm not an expert again. I'm just sort of making that up and sharing that story. So anyway, I thought today was a good day to at least begin to talk about, what quantum gumption is. And quantum gumption is my belief system that we are all connected together, and that the spirituality plays a huge part of it. And that from the religious training that I had, I believe that all, religions are all kind of, they're all birds of a feather or different stripes. They all kind of they share a lot of the same tenets, but that they all are, a little bit different. And that's all fine. And if that's the one you believe in, I don't want to talk anybody into or out of whatever it is that their belief, but, I'm just sort of sharing what my beliefs are and how they've evolved. So without further ado, I see Nicci has shown up in the green room, and I want to bring her on board, because we want to go ahead and now talk about what it is that Reiki is, because she has been a Reiki healer for several years. Miss Nicci Roscoe.
Hi. How are you?
Welcome back to the American Gumption Show for the third time. You're our third-time guest. I can't believe it.
Thank you for having me. I know. Third time. How fabulous is that?
One of your friends from social media said, Steve, you have to create a third-time guest theme to welcome Nicci this time. And I don't have, I think it's a good idea, but I don't have it. Maybe we have to make Nicci's own theme song. I don't know what we're going to do. So, Nicci, let me do this. So let me just tell people who you are briefly. And I'm going to, at the end, I'm going to just mention what we talked about in the first 2 times that you were there. And then we're going to dive into what it means to be a Reiki healer and what Reiki's all about, just sort of the basics, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
Sure.
All righty. So Nicci Roscoe is a master NLP practitioner, a life and business coach, a crystal healing practitioner, and a Reiki healing practitioner. She trained with meditation guru Deepak Chopra, worked in the fitness industry, and has a media background working on television and radio. She has written articles and been interviewed for national magazines and newspapers, including the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday's You magazine, and the Mail on Sunday's Health section. She's also worked in the fashion, beauty, and fitness for Company magazine. Nicci is author of Fabulous Impact, Step into the New You and Rewrite Your Own Script. And here's the best part. Her new book, My Crystal Guide, is coming out in the spring of 2021. We're going to have you back for that. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's actually for 7+ and for everybody. So that's going to be really exciting. Written with my partner, Philip Hermit. So that's going to be great. Really looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right. So now Nicci appeared on the American Gumption morning show. Let me say that again. She appeared on the American Gumption morning show on August 17th, and that was show number 17. And today is show number 40. So we're moving forward. She told during that session, we went through her full story, including her brain surgery, where she had a tumor removed and had to, relearn how to walk and talk and live life as a average, regular, ordinary person. And that occurred back in the early 2000s. So not quite 20 years ago. And then again, 1 week later on September 1st, show number 21, Nicci came back and brought a whole big pile of crystals and showed us her crystal collection and what she does there. So I just encourage people to go back and watch show 17 or 21 to see that full story. So with that, Nicci Roscoe, welcome back to the American Gumption Morning Show for the third time.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I really am. This is wonderful. And, you said about when we were talking previously and sort of things that I've done, and everything that I've done since I had my brain tumor in 2001, 2002, I was operated on. I've used that to help others. I've used all of that to make those changes. And one of the things that I have used, and previously to that, because I was in the health and fitness industry, but one of the things I've used since and become since is a master crystal healing teacher and a Reiki teacher. So I'm a Reiki master healer teacher now. And the wonderful thing is that I now have the opportunity to help others to become Reiki masters, help others to become Reiki healers as well. And Reiki the word means universal life force energy. And it's the energy that's in all of us and is known in Chinese philosophy as qi and Sanskrit text as prana. And Yusui Sensei, he founded the system of Reiki healing, and he put this together from different things such as Buddhism and Chinese shamanism in the early 20th century. And he originally taught it in a really traditional Eastern way, where he would have a student come and live with him and have this student help him in his daily life, doing his washing and his ironing and his cooking even, and helping him to give Reiki healing treatments to others until the essence of the sensei, and sensei means master in Japanese, passes to the student. And that was what's so wonderful. That's how he was able to pass this on to others and teach others. And on September the 1st, 1923, was the Great Kanto earthquake in Japan, which according to Wikipedia was the worst natural disaster ever to strike Japan. And the death toll for that was about 140,000 people. Absolutely horrendous. And then there were hundreds and thousands of people that were injured and needed help. And Yusui Sensei realized in that moment that he needed lots of Reiki healers quickly and a new way to train Reiki healers. And he invented the Reiki attunement system. And that's what we have today. And that's what, which we pass on the amazing energy of a Reiki master. We pass this on to our students in a controlled and really wonderful way, which allows anyone, even if they've done no energy or spiritual work at all, to become a Reiki healer in 2 days. So for me, this is a miracle of Reiki. Anyone can do it, and anyone can be trained in it. And it's really quick and it is so powerful. And I've experienced it myself because, as I mentioned before, one of the first things as I was, coming out of after having my brain tumor operation, I live with chronic pain, and it's how I manage it. And one of the most wonderful things was having Reiki myself, and then training as a Reiki practitioner, along with all the other things that I did.
We were raised in Western medicine, and we were taught that we're all separate, and that we need something external to come in to heal us, whether it be a pill or a narcotic or an antibiotic. And so this was the foundation that I certainly grew up with. And I'm assuming that in England, you the same kind of thinking. And so this energy that really connects all of us together is really now being understood in a way that, from a science point of view, wasn't really able to be proven. It was sort of just like it just sort of worked, but it was looked at like maybe, like shamanism or some kind of a crazy religion thing. And yet now we're beginning to see the science catch up and energy, like be able to measure energy and the transfer of energy from individual to individual. And so it's just funny that as I was sharing with my father a few weeks ago, I said, Nicci's coming back and she's going to talk about it. And he said, oh my gosh, Reiki's, like bad. Now, he didn't say it in a condemning way. He just said it in a way that was like a memory that he said, because I'm not sure what it is and I don't understand it. So I ended up doing a little bit of research and found out that the Catholic Church doesn't approve of it. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It doesn't make sense because it's actually been working. So talk about the energy portion and, how do from your experience, how does it work? How does it, do you have an example or two of how it's worked? So just share some of that with us.
Well, from my experience and knowing what I do, it can help any ailment, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, or spiritual. And the Reiki practitioner, by channeling Reiki through the whole of their client's energy system, means that the practitioner doesn't have to know what's wrong or where the energy needs applying, because they're treating the whole physical body and the chakras and the aura. So it's our whole energy systems that we're working through. And actually in America, practitioners give treatments which are hands off over the body in the aura. So the aura is our energy field around you and in every living thing. And in the UK, some people do hands-on and some people do hands-off. But now with the onset of COVID, everyone's using hands-off and non-contact. And Reiki can also be sent long distance. So I think a great way for you to experience this, Steve, and for anybody listening to experience this, is to have a go with me long distance. So for instance, when I hold my hands over a client, it varies. I'll be holding them over different areas of their body. I'll be putting my hands in different areas, and the energy, the universal energy, will come through my hands. So Steve, if you're to pop up back on the screen again and we can see each other, and anybody, everybody that's watching, please join in and do this with me as well. And if you just very gently pop your hands in front of the screen, that's it. And just bring your hands together and focus, just focus. And I'm going to send you some wonderful healing energy right now. So you may be feeling some tingling in your hand. You may be feeling some warmth, some comfort. And I'm sending you this with love. And it's energy coming from me, through me, to you. And you're all the way in America and I'm here. So just feel that. And then, Steve, if you can tell me how that feels for you.
I initially did feel some tingling as I was focusing on my hands. And then there was a warmth that actually started to occur. And so I definitely, felt a connection and an energy that was brought forth.
I mean, the wonderful thing is, as I said, anybody can heal anybody. You use Reiki healing. You can all have the universal energy coming through you. And to actually become a Reiki practitioner, where you learn the different, where you are given different attunements to make you more powerful, is what is really important. So there's the first degree, then there's the second degree, and then there's the master teacher. And on the second degree, you're taught the sacred symbols, and this helps to enhance all the power of the treatments, which is so wonderful. And as a master teacher now, this gives me the opportunity to teach others and to enable others to become even more powerful, to be able to pass that on to others and to help and heal. Because once you experience this and you open your heart up to this, it's the most unbelievable feeling, and it really does help you in all areas, as I said, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual. And I've had clients, a client that came in recently, and she really hurt her shoulder. She'd been overplaying tennis or and being in the gym, and I just said to her, let's just sit for a minute, let me just sort of place my hands behind your shoulder. And again, because of COVID situations now, we're hands off completely. As I know in America you are hands off. And she felt heat. Sometimes you feel tingling, sometimes you might not feel anything. As a healer, I feel pain in my hands where my client or where the person actually is suffering, and so that energy just comes through me even more. So this client actually felt a difference, and the next day when she woke up, she hardly felt any pain there at all. And since then we've given her another treatment, and she's back up and running again. So it really can help heal, but makes you feel better. And it just depends what it is you need. So I'm not against medical, to going to a doctor. I'm, as you know, I've had a major operation, and I'm not against any of that. But what I do know, and what I really believe, and I've seen with my own eyes, is how powerful Reiki healing is, and also combined with other modalities such as crystal healing. And wow, when you combine Reiki and crystal healing, and I see that smile on your face because you know me and my crystals and how wonderful they all are. If I have an orange calcite here with me at the moment, and that's for calming. But orange calcite also makes you laugh, and it's the great fun too as well. Having fun, orange calcite, absolutely. So when I combine the two, and when you combine the two, it is the most wonderful healing experience for somebody, and the vibrations that just shoot through from both, because you have the vibrations and the strength and the wonderfulness from the crystals healing, and then on top of that you have the universal energy coming through and giving that extra power through the crystals and through the body. It's just it's wonderful. If you haven't experienced Reiki healing, and just open your mind. You don't have to believe in anything. Open your mind and just close your eyes, or keep your eyes open, whatever good for you, and just let somebody sort of give you some healing, because you'll experience, like we just did, Steve, you'll experience something that you've never experienced before.
I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here, Nicci, and there's a quote that I'm thinking of, and I think it was Henry Ford, the automobile guy, and I think it was him, but it was from that era, and he said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And then I remember going to the chiropractor for the first time, and I remember them working on my my shoulders and saying, gee, I can feel these knots in your muscles, and I was kind of like it was like a whole new opening for me, because it was like, really, like the muscles have knots in them that somebody could feel. And I remember like being very like awakened to like new ideas that I had not previously thought. I mean, I would have thought that's crazy that somebody could just feel a muscle and actually feel what's going on inside the muscle. So now you jump forward to the energy and the idea that the body, okay, it has knots in your shoulder. Well, that's like a restricted energy force. And so I'm thinking an advanced Reiki healer with their hands over the body, not actually touching it, but is able to, because they've developed that sensitivity to the energy of other people, they can actually feel different energy forces. And you said that they don't necessarily need to know exactly, what the story was that got them there, or how it happened, or even exactly what it is that's going on, but they just can sense that there's this energy in the body. And again, this energy is being able to be measured scientifically these days, where they can see it, they can measure the body emitting different energy from the energy centers, the chakras, and so anyway, I'm just I'm glad that you came in and talked about it, and really when you think about the religions, they talked about the same thing, just having a faith and a belief that healing was possible. And so so in my book, like I'm for all of the above as far as like what healing potentials are. There's certain things that Western medicine is wonderful, but I also believe that that pills and narcotics and antibiotics are not the solution to many of the problems, but this energy work is really a more effective way of doing it. And Reiki is just one of those energy works. Am I missing anything? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it really does make sense. We have all different kinds of medications that we can have. And yes, of course, some people do need them. Absolutely. However, there are also these wonderful, wonderful healing practices that you can go and you can get help with, like Reiki, which is so powerful and so wonderful that it comes from the energy force. It comes from a universal energy force. So it comes through us, and it is real. We can feel it. We can feel the tingling in our fingers. Mm-hmm. We can feel the heat coming from our hands, and perhaps we can feel the pain. As I said, as I feel pain. I mean, I remember when I had my first attunements, when I did my first degree level, the pain that came through my hands, because the power that it released was unbelievable. So you can imagine that you right now, or anybody that's watching this, or anyone else, you can all do it. But can you imagine how much more powerful you'd be if you even took your first degree of your Reiki practice? I mean, how wonderful would that be? So yes, there are many energies, there are many different modalities that we can use now, so much more, and we have so much more knowledge than we ever used to. And people are starting to be so much more open. They are starting to believe. And I think especially now in COVID times, this is when we really can open up, because there aren't any pills that are just going to make it go away right now. Coronavirus, it's not just going away, and we're waiting for a vaccine. But why wait for anything? Take care of yourself. Look after your immune system. Use Reiki. Find a Reiki practitioner that is going to be able to help you, because it can help you in all kinds of ways. It can help you mentally as well, with your mental energy, because psychologically and spiritually, it's the most wonderful thing to be able to help you to it. For me, it is a truly remarkable healing. A truly remarkable healing. And this, along with meditation, which I believe is wonderful for those to find clarity, to find peace, to find calm, is also so important. And as I mentioned before, putting it together with other things like your crystals, but just being open-minded. And yeah, the energies that are coming through now. Actually, if you think about it, when we had started to have coronavirus, when it actually all sort of really came into action and we were all in lockdown, there was silence outside. You couldn't hear any planes. There was no smog. There was nothing. It was just pure, beautiful nature.
Yeah.
And we felt that energy.
Nicci, I want to share, Bruce Mitchell calls it pure love that is happening. And he also said that the healer is just the channel and it's source energy coming through to the patient. And I think that's really important. The universe or source is where the energy is coming from, and the healer is just strictly helping the patient connect with that source energy. So that's beautiful what Bruce said.
Yeah, absolutely, Bruce. You know, that is absolutely spot on. We are the source energy, because whatever the energy is coming through from above, from the universe, that is what's coming through us. That's what's channeling through us to our patients, to others. It's not us. We are just a pure vessel. We're just carrying that energy through. And that's wonderful. That's great you came on and sent us that message, Bruce.
Yeah. And he also, here's a nice, easy one for you. I love working with crystal skills, I'm assuming. What are your thoughts on this, Nicci? So I'm sure that's an easy one for you.
Oh, wow, Bruce. Yes. Crystal skulls. Well, I have to tell you, for many years, I was not into my crystal skulls. And all of a sudden, one day I started working with a 4-year-old. And this 4-year-old wasn't doing very well because she was sleeping outside her parents' bedroom door on the floor with her toys, and she wouldn't go to bed. So they asked if I would see her. And she came to our crystal showroom. And one of the first things she picked up was a beautiful crystal skull. It was an amethyst skull and a clear quartz skull. And she absolutely loved them. And then for some reason, all of a sudden, and I wish I had her here next to me right now, but she isn't, I found this tiny little rose quartz skull, who I named Rose, aptly, who became my friend. And whatever I did, wherever I went, and she's actually in the other room right now, Rose would always be with me. And there's times where I give healings and all of a sudden Rose appears. But skulls are absolutely wonderful. Skulls are good things. You know, sometimes I used to look at skulls and think, oh goodness, I'm not going anywhere near a skull. I can't bear it. Actually, they're really good. They're kind. They're your friends. And we need to embrace them. When are you going to get a skull, Steve?
You see, this, my knowledge keeps expanding, and I was sharing with our Spirituality Gone Wild founder Debbie G yesterday that I said, I don't feel like I want to be the teacher. We were talking about my show. I just want to forever be the student, and I can bring in Nicci, who can be the teacher, and tomorrow we'll have someone else who's the teacher, and so. But of course, it's never ending, the possibilities, and so kind of to wrap this up. The Reiki is really a form of energy healing where you just focus source energy, the energy of the universe that connects all of us, and you use that to either help a physical or a mental ailment that a person is having. I think that's really the simplest way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Reiki is, well, the word means universal life force energy. So it's the energy that's in all of us, and that energy comes through us. We're the vessel, and it comes through us. It comes through our hands to heal others. So yes, that is right.
Nicci, your email address is floating along down there. Nicci Roscoe at mindmedication.co.uk, and that's how people can contact you. If someone has an interest, you are a master Reiki teacher. If someone wanted to do an online course, could they contact you and somehow take a lesson from you?
they can contact me and we can see what we can do. Absolutely. Yes, for sure. And you can go onto my website as well, which is www.mindmedication.co.uk, which is down there.
Very good. All righty. Well, any last words on Reiki? Otherwise, we'll wrap up this show, and we'll have to have you come back, and we'll continue the conversation about NLP or something else, or maybe we'll go back in the crystals, or how crystals and Reiki work together in combination. Because the last show we really focused on the crystals, and this one we tried to lay the foundation for Reiki. So anyway, I just enjoy these conversations, and I'm grateful that you take the time to come and join us and educate and be the
My
teacher.
pleasure. I really enjoy being here. It's a great show. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. We'll just embrace the energy, embrace this universal life force energy of Reiki, and anything that you know that is natural to help you heal. Just do it. Just go for it. Don't think, just do it. And be open. And take
All
care.
right. Thank you, Nicci.
Okay. Bye. Lots of love.
All righty. Well, again, our third-time guest, Nicci Roscoe, joining us this morning on the American Gumption Morning Show, and that was a great lesson in the basics of what Reiki was all about. All righty. So I'm going to wrap up here. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and Diana Dameron, the author of Unleash Civility, Using Civility to Survive and Thrive in the Workplace. And I specifically want to ask her about how can we be more civil today in our political discourse. And we were not going to get into politics, but we're going to get into talking at least a little bit about the unhealthy uncivility that's happening in our culture today. Thursday, Heather Holmes, founder of P2 Probiotic Power, and she is going to change the way you think about cleaning. And that is something, again, that ties in with what Nicci just said about being open to new ways. She's got a lot of scientific data that talks about, traditional cleaning mechanisms versus some of the things that she's been doing with probiotics. So that's going to be a fun day. All righty, folks, that's it for today's show. Thank you, Nicci, for being here. Thank you, Brandon Schaefer, for coming in and giving us his simple motivation on Tuesdays, as he usually does. We will see you all tomorrow.